Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Like any talk show host, I have my own private select list of most wanted people. This is not in the criminal sense, but I mean guests who, in some cases, they have been criminals, proved to be later anyway. But tonight I'm delighted that I'm going to be able to check off one of the magic names on the list because at long last my guest is Miss Lauren Bacall. And in the past, well, I'd say the last 3 days, off and on, I have been preparing for this show by reading her book that has just been published, and it's called Lauren Bacall by Myself. A nice ambiguous title. And here is my 3-sentence review. What a life, what a story, what a woman. Sounds like the late Walter Winchell, only worse. But even as a nice Jewish girl growing up in New York, she seemed to have a special magnetism for the camera. And as you probably know, she became a model, famous on cover of Harper's Bazaar, and that is that, in fact, famous cover. And she caught the eye of a number of Hollywood directors, and there's no wonder when you see the picture. Her film debut was about as auspicious as they come. Who Can Forget To Have and Have Not, in which she co-starred with Humphrey Bogart. She eventually married Bogart, and they had many happy times together, such as this moment from his favorite recreation, sailing. She and Bogart had 2 children. Here she is in an impromptu backyard dance class with her daughter Leslie. And in the years after Bogart's death, she married Jason Robards, whom she's visiting in this next picture, I think, on a movie set. Yes, that's their son Sam with them. And, of course, her own career has continued to flourish, and here she is on the cover of Life as the Tony Award-winning star of Applause on Broadway. But listen, she can tell all of this much better than I can, and she's been introduced in every possible flowery way that you can think of. So I think for variety, I'll just try one that she probably hasn't heard for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome Miss Greenwich Village of 1942, Lauren Bacall. Oh, I wish you would. I didn't guess anything back. I know. Well.
Here we are. You left out my older child, you know. You forgot about Steve, the first Bogart born.
That's right. Well, we didn't have...
I hate to correct you,
I don't think we had a picture there of Steve.
Oh,
so.
yes, yeah. Oh, really?
Do you carry one?
There's one in the book.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yes. Oh, really?
Well, we'll have a little pause here while I turn to this. Steve will be very upset. Say, it's about time you got here.
I thought so, actually, but I didn't really know what we'd talk about, Dick. And actually, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about now because you kind of said it all, haven't you? I mean, you told the story of my life already.
Well, then I'll just put that aside.
No, no.
No, the truth is, there's a question you might as well brace yourself for if you're going to do very many interviews about the book. I had a book once, and they always said, why did you write a book? Which seems to me pointless. But in your case, it's not a bad question because you are, well, you are known to be a private person, and I think some people would have predicted that you might not write a book, and certainly not a frank and open and revealing one. Was it a struggle for you, Betty? May I call you Betty? I've never heard anyone call you Lauren.
You may,
okay.
And have.
Okay.
Well, of course, it was a struggle for me. I mean, why wouldn't it be? But anyone that knows me certainly knows that if I were going to write anything at all, it would have to be frank and open.
Sure.
That's why I hesitated, I suppose, for so many years. But I finally wrote it because it came to me at a time, I mean, the offer came to me at a time that I really did not know what I was going to do with my life, which I also do say in the book.
Yeah.
I was kind of, can we say, in flux?
Yes. That was several years ago.
All right.
Yes. I remember when you first talked about writing the book. And
when I came back from England in September of 74, I was very disoriented. Yeah. I mean, the culture shock of re-entry into this country after 2 years away was really so jarring. And I just didn't know what was going to happen to me or what I was going to do.
Was your career iffy at that point?
Very. It has been most of my life, actually.
Yeah.
So I just... It also seemed Robert Gottlieb, who is head of Knopf and who also is my editor, is such an extraordinary man. You know him.
Yes,
I know.
he's been on
yeah.
here. Well, I did it.
And
Sure.
I mean, he was so simpatico and had such taste and instinct and intelligence, and he wanted a book about me. Now, it was the first time that anyone had asked me to write a book about my life.
Yeah.
Not my life with Bogey, just, you know, I mean, everything about me. And so I thought, well, maybe I better try it. I didn't know what else I was going to do. But of course, when I agreed, having agreed, I was stuck with it. I had to.
And you did
follow
write it
through.
yourself. There's no ghost lingering in the background.
There is no ghost.
I remember you
only
telling
my right hand.
You write on a yellow legal pad, do you?
Yes,
Like
yes,
you ask
yes,
people in
long
the Paris
hand.
Review interviews. When you came to problems in the writing of it, like should I say this or should I not, or should I spare somebody's feelings, or should I use a real name? Did you make those decisions yourself, or did you ask advice?
Well, no, I mean, the question of should I use a real name never came up, because if one is writing an autobiography, you have to use real names.
Yeah.
Or you just don't write it. You've got
Yeah.
to say, I can't, I mean, I couldn't, how could I invent someone?
Well,
how could I change a name?
Yeah, you wouldn't, what I
wouldn't be
meant was,
allowed,
for
would it?
example, if somebody who was not particularly, who didn't come through as a friend when Bogart was dying, in one or two cases you do mention the names, and I meant by that, would you use the name or leave it out rather than change it?
Well, I mean, the purpose of the book was not to do anybody in. That's
Yeah.
not my intention. That's not why I wrote it. I mean, there are other things in life besides that, God knows. But I did feel strongly about certain things, and I felt obliged to mention them.
Yeah.
Now, I may end up with enemies. I mean, we all have some, I suppose.
Did lawyers warn you about anything you wanted to put in that made you take out?
Lawyers, no. I had no confrontation with lawyers. I mean, that is all, I suppose every publisher has a
Publishers,
lawyer,
yes,
but I don't know precisely where they begin and where they end. You know, I don't really.
You didn't have to make any of those decisions.
No.
They didn't bring any of them to you.
No, not really.
Yeah.
No. I mean, my interest was actually within the bounds of good taste. Because I'm a very tasteful person, as you know, and as my whole life has been very tastefully lived, I was
course,
bound to
yes.
write a tasteful book about tasteful people.
Well, not revoltingly tasteful.
No,
I must say.
not disgustingly tasteful.
No.
No.
I'm surprised how many people are surprised to find out that you're Jewish. Jews and Gentiles both will say, "You're kidding."
Well, that's what they said to me all my life. You're kidding.
Now, I don't know, I can't decide whether that means there's a lurking prejudice there or whether they assume that there are certain traits that are Jewish and they can always spot them.
Physical traits, yes, definitely.
Or that they just don't like to be fooled and are saying, there are certain people we seem to subconsciously actively think of as not Jewish for some reason.
Yes, but I think, certainly when I was growing up, all my life, and it still is true, I always felt that there was an element of prejudice involved in the discovery.
Yeah.
But that might have been my own reading into it, you see. That might have been my hang-up.
I know when you first went to Hollywood, it tells me in here, that was a problem. There were times when you had to conceal it
When I
for
felt
career
I did,
reasons,
yes.
and also felt guilty at the same time, of course.
Oh, terrible, terrible, ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if, I mean, I don't know how I would react today. You think that you know so much, you've learned so much by having lived so long, but I'm not sure. I still wouldn't be intimidated. I don't know.
When you were
It's
first
weird.
there as a green girl of 19,
Yeah.
and somebody made an anti-Semitic remark in your presence, what went on inside?
Lots of cringing, lots of stomach turning upside down, inside out. Lots of personal fury with myself. I mean, really, it made me so angry that I didn't have the guts to say anything. But I thought, what does that mean? I'm going to be fired up. It's no job. It's, you know, and it's very. I felt like quite a misfit, I must say.
Did you quietly make a list of those people and decide to get them later?
No,
Okay.
I'm making a list now.
Just a stab in the dark. I can't possibly go through the book chronologically, but the reader will get to do that. But when you stepped in front of the camera first, you made a screen test. You then did To Have and Have Not right away, almost, well, I don't mean there wasn't
No,
an
a year.
agonizing
Almost a
pause,
year.
but I mean, it was your
Yeah.
first movie. You didn't start in little bitty parts and
No.
so on.
Should have probably, but didn't.
Little bitty players and little bitty parts. But you did that movie. It was a tremendous success, and people who saw that woman walk on the screen, I think Winchell said, "Watch out for Bacall," or "Here she's coming and she'll
Yeah,
knock your
yeah.
hats off. She's dynamite," or whatever. That confident, sexy, slightly tough, man-manipulating, confident, cool woman that we saw on the screen.
Who's that?
Is any of that?
Everybody heard of.
Is any of that sitting here now? And was it you then?
Well, it certainly
I
was
know the
not me then. You know the answer
do
to
know the
that,
answer.
and you know that it's not me now either.
Yes, I know. And I do find this amazing, but the fact that those who saw you
It's
on the screen at
infuriating,
19
too.
at that point, who met you, would never have dreamed that you were literally quaking at the knees, you were
Yeah, well, they still don't
cheeks
think
trembling, your hands, and the look, which some of our viewers are too young to remember that phrase, but it was the Bacall look.
so. Oh, that's so painful.
Well, the 8-year-olds, you know.
The 8-year-olds, yes, the 4-year-olds.
Part of it came from having your chin down.
Part of it came from like that, just shaking myself to pieces,
Yeah.
and that was the only way I could hold my head steady.
So
I
that's
had to hold it down and then look up.
and
God saved! I found the secret.
so you were concealing trembling and not tremendous confidence. But women all over America lowered their chins, not knowing why you did it.
Isn't it wonderful?
Now they're lifting them.
Yes, so am I. I'm lifting mine.
At that time, was there any point where you thought, I just can't take this crazy, sick Hollywood scene? There doesn't seem to be any point in where you really decide to bolt. Maybe it's because your mother was with you.
You mean then? You mean when I
In the very
started?
early time.
When
you
I first went out, my mother was not. I mean, I went out on my own. Oh, it was magic. It was a fairyland to me when I first went out.
But
all
then it
those
began to-
green trees, all those palm trees, and the green grass, and the oranges, and the grapefruits,
Yeah.
the lemons, lots of lemons.
But including 1 or 2 pictures.
Yeah. Oh.
But then
more.
it began to get to you a bit, didn't it? I mean, it hit you what publicity really meant in a striking way.
Well, yes, because it's... Then, of course, I think if I had not had Bogey as a guide, I dread to think what might have happened, because he knew so much of what the routine was of making a star, and he knew that... he said, remember, he said, when he used to talk about actors who believed their own publicity, he said they forgot that the studio planted the publicity. They really began to believe that it was them. And it's very easy to believe that. Certainly when you're 19, it's very easy to believe it.
You see it in black and
you
white, so
see
it must be true.
Right, and you want to believe. You say, gee, I'm really terrific. Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm all those people rolled into one. Isn't it thrilling? And you suddenly realize, just a minute. And then when you are, all of these great qualities are attributed to you, to one person. I mean, I was a combination of Betty Davis, Katharine Hepburn, Mae West, Marlene Dietrich, I don't know, you name it. And there's no way that I could have been all of those people, or even one of them.
And at 19.
And
which
at
is
19.
Incredible.
And to suddenly be burdened with all of that, what happens is not only does the actor tend to believe it, but everyone that reads it tends to believe it. So that from then on, you're expected to be all those people. I mean, no one is content with you as... No one wants to find out what you're all about. They really say, okay, this is it, and we will take nothing less. We will accept nothing less, and that's why I had so much trouble.
And then there you were on the screen as something that isn't you at all, which is the reason you were so nervous in the first movie. Did being a non-drinking virgin hold you back at all?
I beg your pardon?
Did I read that wrong?
When was I a non-drinking virgin?
There was a time.
There was a time, indeed. Yes, I was a non-drinking virgin. Did it hold me back in what way?
Well, you talk about the
Richard.
fact no, you're
did
supposed
you
to
have in
grab
mind?
that and move on with it. You're not supposed to turn it.
I'm not grabbing it. Tell
You're
me.
not supposed to turn it back on me. Well, if I were answering that question, I would say, yes, Dick, that's a wonderful question, and I like the way you phrased it. And the fact is, it was quite difficult because everybody assumed I was something else.
I was a
Bogey's
drunk and
friends
a-
were hard drinkers. He was... Some of them were drunks as well as hard drinkers, and and people took me to be something I wasn't. There's a moment where a famous actor, whose name you mentioned, came up to you at a party and said, give me your phone number. And you did. And he walked away saying, too easy.
Yeah. I said, oh, geez, isn't that exciting? He asked me for my phone number. Whoops, here it is. And bored. He did everything but yawn in my face when I gave it to him.
He wanted a little more struggle.
Oh, yes, he wanted the game. You know the game. It's the boring game.
Yeah. Well,
that's what he wanted.
What did you learn from that? Did you change your behavior, or did you...
No, I stopped giving my phone number to anyone who asked. And actually, people stopped asking me. It was curious. Yeah. No, well, no, you learn. Well, now I know, obviously, that that man in particular was a man that just obviously was interested in playing a game and not in me individually, you know, as the glorious creature I was.
Do you think he'll be embarrassed when he reads that in there?
I doubt it. He won't remember it, I'm sure.
I found that...
Did you read every word, Dick? That's what I wanted.
Yeah, ask me any question. Let's have our quiz right now. It'll be a surprise quiz. I'll have my paper on your desk by Friday.
I'll ask you one.
I found some of the book excruciating, and...
In what way? You mean painful?
Yeah, however you decided to go into as much detail as you did on Bogart's dying, graphic details that are unforgettable, was really moving. And,
I don't know how you...
But you can't... gripping, I mean, this is not a complaint. It's one of the most remarkable things I think I've ever read.
Really?
And
Thank you.
I don't know how you decided... how to gauge that? You know, how much do they deserve? How much do they want?
It's not calculating. I'm not a calculating person, and I did not calculate anything that I wrote in this book. I am not a professional writer.
Yeah.
I wrote from the vantage point that I've lived my life, which is on the basis of my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, I mean, it was not all very reasonable. I didn't think it all through and say, what am I saying here, what am I saying there? And when you start to write about yourself, if you are an emotional person, the only way that you can get it all out is to do it that way.
Let the floodgates open.
Absolutely.
Well, he's a man who was quoted, and you may never have said it, as the famous line, all the actor owes the public is a good performance. Did you have to stop and think, how much would Bogey want known?
I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I mean...
The dead are dead.
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't believe in that. I mean, it's not going to worry him what happens the day after. I mean, he used to say, the day after I'm gone, I couldn't care less what happens. That's it. That's the end. So, no, I mean, I'm concerned with the living, and mostly concerned with my children, and mostly concerned with everything I wrote about Bogey, about, you know, with Steve and Leslie, and what their reaction would be, and I wanted them to know the truth, my truth, and I wanted Sam to also know my truth as far as Jason was concerned. And so, I mean, I think their lives are important, so that I mean, I just wrote what I had to write, what I felt. I mean, otherwise forget it. Otherwise I say, don't write a book. I mean, then the hell with it. And there were many times when I said, why did I ever say I would do this? God.
I know, I used to run into you, and you would say, I'm going to go on with it.
Did you used to run into me?
I do all the time. And I've always found you to be a lady.
No, you haven't.
Well...
I saw you one night not so long ago, and I reached in front of you to say hello to a mutual friend, yes, and you said, some people reach right in front of a person.
I did.
Remember that?
That
was me. But
except for that moment.
That's our act. But that's our act.
Right. But we entertain others. We're the cause of amusement in others at parties and things.
Yes, we are.
But every time I've made a lewd proposition to you or something, you've always laughed.
Because you've mostly made it on television.
Yeah. But getting back now to change your face. What?
You nervous? You nervous?
No, not at all. I always flutter my tongue. Getting back to that part of the book for just a bit, there's even some humor in it. There are two funny things involved.
Hope there is.
No, I mean in the part about Bogart's dying. There are two inevitable comic moments, as there are in life, at least two. One that the smiling mortician at Forest Lawn was right out of an Evil and Law story.
Yes. Oh, yes, yes.
And he said there's enough room on the... urn?
On the,
or
no,
the
not on the urn.
What did they want to say?
No, in the vault.
Vault, yeah.
Where urns full of ashes are kept. There is a plaque outside it. And he said, "Where do you want Mr. Bogart's name? There's room for all of you in here."
Yes.
And I thought, whoops, nope. I said, "We'll just put his name right in the middle. I'm not going in there. I don't want to go in there."
The old principle of sell them everything in the store. While
Absolutely. Oh.
And then there was a telegram you got because you had requested no flowers.
It wasn't. Oh, that
But
was
donations
that was
to the
extraordinary.
Cancer Society rather than.
Right, and that donations being made in Bogey's name to the Cancer Society, and I received this telegram from I think it was the American Florists Association, I'm not quite sure what the title was, saying, "Listen, we don't tell people not to go to your movies. Don't tell people not to buy flowers."
Did that strike you as funny at the time, or?
I couldn't believe, I said,
sickening?
I thought it was horrendous, and
Yeah,
I thought it was, I think it's funnier now, but I must say, I couldn't believe the thinking. I said, "This is great Americana here." And I flashed that telegram to everyone that walked in the house because, hey, can you believe what these people said to me?
Yeah, it's a grotesque parody, but.
And they meant it.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding around.
His dying, the period of his dying, certainly separated the true friends from the false friends. You make clear, I think, and people you expected to show up didn't. In any of those cases, have you decided since that maybe it was because they just couldn't bring themselves to, in the sense that Spencer Tracy, who was a great friend, couldn't bring himself to do the eulogy because he knew he would break down?
Oh, but no, but Spence, that was no test of friendship.
No, of course
Spence was there seeing Bogey all the time.
Yeah,
it was
and
important
Hepburn,
to see him.
He and Kate Hepburn proved themselves to be great friends all through that, more so. But,
yes.
But I mean, in retrospect, have any of those people said to you, "I know I should have shown up, but I just couldn't bring myself to see him as he was," that sort of thing?
No, not really. I think now, in hindsight, of course, some more than 20 years later, I suppose I overreacted. But I don't mind that I overreacted. I mean, that's okay with me that I did. I think some of the people that did not show up not because they didn't care, but indeed because they couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
But I would give no one any quarter. I expected, damn it, let everyone show up. I don't care how tough it is for you. I mean, Swifty showed up, and it was tougher for Swifty Lazar than it was for almost anyone.
Yeah, some of them had to make sacrifices to show up, and he, with his hypochondria and
my nerves, God,
morbid feelings about
terror,
that sort of thing.
He was there.
Yeah.
He was there.
Can you forgive Dorothy Kilgallen after 20 years?
I don't have to. She's not around.
I mean, in your mind's eye or whatever.
Oh no. I never liked her anyway. No, she was always a monster.
Yeah.
She was a horror. Terrible
At least
woman.
she was consistent.
Yes, that's true. But I didn't admire her for that consistency, if you'll give me that.
Without being coy, maybe it's not that generally known. She printed that he was worse and dying and so on at a time when he did not know that or think so.
But on the 8th floor of a hospital that didn't exist.
Yes, and a hospital didn't exist on a floor that didn't exist, with a doctor that didn't exist, something. And
I know.
Is there any chance that that was, to really be the devil's advocate, is there any chance that she was simply misinformed on that, or was that just vicious,
I wouldn't know.
cheap...
I don't know, but I mean, see, she was a gossip
purveyed.
columnist. She was, I guess at one point she was a good newspaper woman. When she started, I heard tell, although I never saw any evidence of it personally. I just, I thought it was vicious, because I must say that the press were respectful and caring and did not make waves. They all knew that Bogey was ill, and Kilgallen knew it too, but she was Kilgallen. She was such a bitter, miserable human being. I mean, who cares? She's not worth talking about.
No, I'm sorry we wasted that much time.
So am I, Dick. Let's go back and do it all over again.
Would it have been easier for you in any way if he had, he gallantly, I think it was gallant, never seemed to admit that he was dying? And was that out of a kind of gallantry that he didn't want to make it worse on the people around him? Would it have been any easier in any way? This is a hard thing to ask, but would it have been easier in a way if there had been a conversation which began, "Look, slim, I'm a dead man, let's face it, and now let's talk about that, and, you know... And
Thank God you don't write dialogue.
Thank God I don't write
You
dialogue.
don't write dialogue. No.
Yeah.
No,
you know what I mean.
Yes, I do know what you mean, but I think I write about it. I mean, I think I say it in the book. No, I don't think, it's something I really don't want to dwell on now, but I don't think, I think Bogey was a realist.
Yeah.
And he believed in, he wanted me to hold together, and he wanted us both to hold together, and he didn't. I mean, everyone has to choose his own way to deal with whatever disaster you have to deal with, and he chose it, but he chose not to put it into words. And as that was his choice, I mean, there was nothing to discuss. I was not about to ask him any questions, and he finally did. I mean, I think the reason that he did it was that so. I mean, he said it to me once, you know, if you're okay, I'm okay. So you've missed that. I wrote that.
Well, I sometimes pretend not to have... It makes the interview faster if I don't say I know the answer, but let's tell them, you see. Yeah, it's time guests realize that.
Sorry about that. Would you like me to go out and come in again? Want to start all over?
There's only a minute left. Is that too little of time to say what kind of thing you expect from a friend like Kate Hepburn at a difficult time like that, and what you get?
Well, I mean, if you're going to bring Katie into it, I mean, certainly whatever I would expect was, I got much more, always, from Katie. I mean, that's, you are choosing a most extraordinary example.
Yes, not a typical woman.
Why woman? Person.
Oh, well, that came out sounding wrong.
Yeah, oh, boy,
No, I
I'll
mean,
say it did.
I mean, I meant by that there's no one else like her. I meant a unique woman.
Yeah, but she's a unique human being. But
Yeah.
I always felt that she was the female counterpart of Bogey.
Oh, that's
in
interesting.
Character, and that she had
Yeah.
she has always had such an incredible sense of honor and integrity, and Bogey did too.
And both impatient with fools, too.
Yes, and this was, and character came first, and that was, I mean, no, friends are friends, what the hell.
I have to interrupt
God, I'm
you.
glad I said that.
See, I must jot that
Friends
down.
are friends, would you please make a note of that?
Listen, I'm enjoying this. I hope you are. Will you come back tomorrow night as agreed?
I will, but
And
you
wear
have
the
to look
same
as though you're
clothes
having
and-
more fun.
Oh, okay. Well, I promise you more fun tomorrow night. See, I can do it when I have to. My dialogue's bad, but I'm a good actor.
Oh?
We'll see you tomorrow night. Give me a break.
Funding for The Dick Cavett Show has been provided by this station and other public television stations, and by a grant from the Chubb Group of insurance companies. Funding for The Dick Cavett Show has been provided by this station and other public television stations, and by a grant from the Chubb Group of insurance companies.
Well, they certainly got a reaction out of me.
Yes, well.
That was terrific. Oh, good evening. Won't you join us? And welcome to the second of a two-part conversation with Lauren Bacall, who, in case you recently arrived from some other planet, is a wonderful actress, a great star, a woman with an indefinable, stylish sense of herself that distinguishes her and everything she does, and she can really give you a knee shot if she wants to.
Indefinable.
And even if you haven't come from another galaxy, I think you'll be interested in her story. She tells it in her new book, Lauren Bacall, By Myself. That's the title, a good title. She also tells much of it right here. Will you welcome again, please, then, Lauren Bacall.
Thank you.
I don't need all this
No, you don't need notes, you have me.
stuff. Put that all right.
Oh,
We were speaking last night, and tonight we'll be just
we're not
as...
speaking tonight.
Well, no, we'll be... give me a break. No, you're... Remember, you're not the tough, confident woman that everyone thinks. We covered that last night.
I'm not.
Inside, you're trembling. You're
and on
Jell-O.
the outside, too, yes.
Firm Jell-O, but Jell-O nonetheless. I said something last night so awful that I have a feeling it's going to haunt me the rest of my life. We were talking about Katharine Hepburn, and I said, not a typical woman, as you said how great she was. And by that I meant, of course, there's no Hepburn type. I mean, there's only one.
There's only one.
Will you agree with me
I
on
will
that?
certainly agree with you. There's only one.
Where'd you first meet her?
I first met her in, I think it was in London, en route to Africa for the African Queen.
Yeah.
I had not known her before, and I was, of course, very excited and kind of apprehensive and didn't know what to expect. And I remember it seemed that, I don't know whether it was before a press conference or something, she and Bogey were going to, there was some kind of a press conference called for the film. This is before we left for the Congo, what was then the Belgian Congo. And so Bogey and I went into the Claridge's, I think was where she stayed. And upstairs, and rang her doorbell, and she opened the door, and she had just washed her hair, which Katie does regularly, more often than most people. And she had it wrapped in a towel, and she said, oh, well, something, wait downstairs, I'll be a few minutes, blah, 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 whatever. And that was my introduction to her. And I thought, oh, my God.
She was, you were intimidated a little bit by, just because you'd seen her so much in the screen.
Well, I was because I had always admired her tremendously, and I saw her on the stage from a second balcony when she was in Philadelphia Story, and I just didn't know what to expect. Yeah. And we became friends on that film, but it took a while because she didn't know what I was about, or certainly, or Bogey was about, or Houston was about, and I didn't know what she was about, and so we were all kind of feeling our way.
Yeah.
But
she refers to you as her buddy on the show we did together. She said,
I love her.
There I was in Africa with two drunks, and that's John Huston and Bogart and her buddy Lauren Bacall.
Oh yes, I adore her. Love her.
Were you bitten, maimed, poisoned, or any of those things in Africa?
There was
There's an invasion. When they make the movie of your book, the special effects department's going to have a little trouble doing the invasion of the ants. Could you tell about that?
What
That's
makes
frightening.
you think they are going to make a movie of my book?
Is that outlawed?
That is, you damn right it's
Oh, really?
outlawed.
Is that specified, or am I being...
No, I'm saying...
Blunt? I mean, am I being thick-headed here? Well, maybe that, too.
No,
you've really said no. You've made a specification, no book? No movie?
I say it now. Yeah. I mean, I don't have to...
I see.
You know. You know what I mean?
Yes,
no.
I know exactly. I know exactly.
No, I don't want anyone to play me.
That's right, you don't.
No, absolutely not.
Someone did once.
I don't want to know about it.
Ingrid Bergman.
She played me?
Well, no, she didn't play you, but she did your part in Cactus Flower.
I know it, but she didn't play me.
No, not at all. But that galls me, I think, and I know it probably does you. Says so in there.
Oh, many things gall me.
A play, someone creates a smash hit on Broadway in a role, and then they immediately give it to someone else for the movie.
Yes, well,
Not
because
always.
Clearly one isn't the type if you've created it.
That's right. They need some...
I mean, you're dealing with another kind of mind.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd better go into that.
Okay, just pull your ear when I should change the subject at any point. There's still something I was going to ask you about Hepburn, though. And I don't know if anybody can define the sort of special quality of her friendship that you talk about in there, but you hear these stories all the time, and they're not publicized often.
Well, Katie is a very, very private person, and I respect that. I think all of her friends do. She is I mean, I think anyone who is her friend knows it and knows how lucky they are and how unusual a human being she is. I mean, I am as enamored of her as you are. I mean, I feel that every 10 minutes I spend with her is a big plus in my life. And she presses on and does what she has to do in her life, and she is just, once she is your friend, that's it. She is. And, I mean, unless you do something really terrible to her.
You referred to her last night as, in a sense, a female version of Bogart, in that certain kinds of integrity and
Character.
character, I guess,
Yes.
and impatience with boobs and fools. And when you see that her two main projects in life seem to be her career and being helpful when people need her, and I guess she doesn't have time for much else when you do both those things. Something she said on the show tied into something you said in the book, that there was a point in your life where you realized, my God, I have it all. I didn't have really that great a struggle, the way some people live in garrets for 15, 20 years
Right.
before they get a break in the movies.
I may end up living in a garret.
The garret is still ahead. They've got some
That's to look
nice ones
forward
just
to.
around the corner.
Oh, yes, so.
Yeah. But you said, I realized that moment, you didn't say had the world by the tail or any cliche like that, but you really did have it wonderfully. You were married to the man you wanted, you were in the movies, you were a success, and so on and so on.
Everything at 20.
And,
Lost Hart said it.
and a family and so on. Hepburn said quite clearly on that show, it seemed to be the one thing that most people remembered, you can't have it all. You can't try. It's a mistake to. You have to decide whether you're going to be a mother, an actress, or any other combination of things. Is that something you disagree about?
Well, I certainly tried to do it all, and my career obviously suffered. I hope nothing else did. But I know that at one point, Bogey did say that he didn't think I realized how many things I tried to do in my life. I was, you know, trying to be a mother and an actress and a wife and a pal and, I don't know, run the house and you name it. And you just, something's got to give. And it's another great line right? Something's got to give. Oh,
Hey, that... no,
forget the line.
I was going to say it could be a song title, but it's no good.
No.
But he saw that in you, did he? That you were trying to do
Yes,
4
but
and
I
5
think
things
all
at once.
one's life. Yeah, but I'm still trying to do 45 things at once. Even though I'm not married, I'm still doing more things at once than I probably ought to do. Something you cannot focus on. If I could just focus on one thing, it would be wonderful. You know.
Some all-consuming thing, like the
Yes.
person who knows he's just going to play the violin and that's it.
Yeah, but that's.
All performers, actors, I think, envy that because it would make an easier life if you just had this compulsion to do one thing and then there's no decision to
Yes,
make
but
after
also
that.
when you speak of like great violinists or great artists like Henry Moore, like Picasso, I mean, those people concentrated only on that. That was their focus, and all of the extraneous things of life that bogged the rest of us down were kept away from that. They were protected by others. I mean, actors are not so protected. We have to do 80 things. I don't know why. I don't want to know why.
I want to. Here's something I want to know, and I want specifics on this. You talk about the pleasure of working with an experienced veteran actor on the screen, or anywhere, whether it's Robards or Bogart or someone else, someone you weren't married to.
Or on the stage. Yeah.
Or on the stage.
I wasn't married.
But specifically when you went to Hollywood and you were an unknown paired with this great male star, what specifically are the kinds of things you could learn from him about screen acting? Are they as specific as a fascinating thing I once read that Walter Brennan said to a newcomer, listen, kid, keep your upstage eye, the one you look at the other actor with. It'll get your face on camera more.
Oh, yes? Oh, I don't know about that.
Is it that kind of thing?
No.
What is it?
What if you're speaking of professional, I mean, really good actors are not concerned with that. They're concerned with the way they play a part and how the brain goes. They're not, you know, thinking of
It's not
of
specific
the position
physical
of your
tricks like never,
No, I was never-
turn to your right into the camera or that sort of thing.
No.
Yeah.
I have no. I mean, I don't think too much of that kind of advice. I just remember very well that I also say this in the book that I remember in one scene in The Big Sleep, I had to go to the door. And of course, Hawk said action, and I just walked to the door. And we had to do it again for some reason or other. And Bogey said, just think of where you were coming from. I mean, you don't just go to the door like a model going to the door. You must have come from another room. What were you doing in the other room? So that you have something in your head.
Yeah.
when you're walking to that door, so that you have an attitude, so
That's
that
exactly
it's interesting.
the sort of thing I wanted to hear.
Yeah, but that
That's
kind
what-
of thing is valuable.
Now, shouldn't you have known that, though, having been at the American Academy as a studying acting and so on?
Are you choosing me now? All right, Cavett.
Am I what? Am I
No,
what?
shouldn't I have known?
Well, yeah, I mean,
well,
you had studied acting, and isn't part of the basics of acting knowing what you're doing and your motivation?
yes, but I mean, do you think that everyone that studies acting remembers everything all the time at the age of 19? This tender little flower?
Of course not. You were,
No.
you were 19, weren't you?
Yes.
I can't get over
No,
that.
I couldn't think of all of those things. I was worried about slipping on the floor and about, you know, I wasn't thinking, really thinking the way I should have been thinking.
What did you fall on in Pittsburgh?
I beg your pardon? My coccyx.
Yes, and fractured it.
Yes, I did, and it's floating.
But it is? Is it in view, or, I mean...
No, but it's floating in an X-ray, yes.
A floating
floating
Is
coccyx.
that quite painful? That's one of
It's
the worst injuries, most painful injuries you can get when you fall on that. It's the tailbone.
Yes, right.
Oh, yes.
I know. Well, it was wonderful.
But you don't tell in the book what you fell over.
Yes, I do.
No, you say they came in and found you flat on the floor.
No, the dresser pulled the chair out.
You're
you
right.
You missed that.
You're right.
You
That's
did
right.
not read that book
That's right.
carefully enough. You're going to have to go back. I tell you something.
I only lose one
Quizzes
point
are
on
coming
that.
up. You lose more than one.
Okay, ask me another question about it. I can throw in any...
What about the rest of my life?
Yeah, let's talk
Didn't
about...
you love the rest of my life?
Let's talk about the rest of your life. You played in England. You came back
Let's
to
talk
Broadway.
about the rest of my life for the rest of your life.
Now, that's good dialogue. I commend you as a writer.
Thank you.
More ways than one. Was a certain contempt for you as when you came back to Broadway, inevitably, wasn't there? Here comes a screen actress trying to...
Contempt? That's
Yeah.
a loathsome word.
That's
No.
probably accurate, though, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, who would feel contempt? I think
Veteran Broadway actors who thought, here she comes, now she's made a dazzling reputation on the screen, now she's going to show us how to do it on the stage.
Oh, no. Real actors don't think that way.
Oh, you know they do.
Oh, the hell they do.
The hell they don't.
The hell they do, Cavett.
You want to make something of
Yes,
this?
I do. Stand up. Come on.
I can do it sitting down.
Oh, aren't you lucky?
What are we talking about? No, I must remind you that you're not tough.
No.
You're quivering and
No.
frightened inside, and you're...
No, but you are
Understand.
wrong about actors. The best actors in the world are the most generous people to other actors.
Ah, but how many
They-
best actors are there in the world?
But there are a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones
Yeah, yes.
in the theater. A lot of good ones in the theater.
Yeah.
And they are very generous, and they want you to succeed. They don't want to see anyone fail.
Well, then why do you say in this book, Lauren Bacall, by myself, and I could cite the page, that when you came back to Broadway, actors wondered why, said, is she serious? Is she just dabbling? Is she really...
Not actors, critics. Critics.
Critics.
Critics. You
Oh,
remember
well, sure,
critics,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Critics,
You also said they don't realize the damage they can do, as they did to you early on.
well,
when
right,
you-
yes,
yeah.
with making you something that you're not.
But maybe that's a charitable
suit
view.
them,
Maybe they
yeah.
realize exactly the damage they can do.
I don't know, but they're not my most favorite in
Would
this
you-
world.
Do you know me well enough to expatiate on something for me?
Into what? There he goes. You're always trying to prove how clever you are. Now, go on. What is it? Tell me about the word. Wants the audience to know
And you want
that he knows all of these 12-syllable words and what they mean, what their origins were. I want you to tell me about that word. Now. Let the whole world hear about that word.
Which word in the sentence was it?
Expatiate.
Oh, I thought maybe the word something was too hard for you.
Pretty clever, aren't you? All right, romance is
Don't-
over. Get back to expatiate and tell us. Come on.
Yes,
Never mind.
It's this. It's this. You've
It's
made it
what?
hard for me now, but I'm going to...
I hope so.
Remember, inside, I'm not this confident, dominant person that I
Oh,
appear to be.
no?
I'm trembling and jello,
Oh,
too.
yeah? Oh, you are not.
It's a wonder we're invited to the same... Well, never mind. There are certain women in our business, huge stars, female stars, who have an extraordinarily large percentage of their following as homosexual. We all know who they are. Betty Davis, Judy Garland, Marlene Dietrich, Joan Crawford. That group almost never includes you. I don't think it ever includes Hepburn. Once in New Orleans, I was going to do a show on drag queens, and I was in their apartments, and they always had pictures of the above forementioned, and there are a couple I left out. Do you have any idea what this is? I mean, it somehow goes to the heart of something about what's projected on the screen by big female stars. I've never heard anybody
Is that what
explain why that...
expatiate is?
No, expatiate.
You have digressed.
Expatiate.
You like that word?
Expatiate is a dog that was formerly neutered but is not anymore.
Oh, you are bad. You are really bad. You're trying to... Oh, go on.
You're not going to get away with ducking this question. Not after the way you've
I have
treated
no
me.
intention of ducking it. I have no idea. I don't know what attracts anyone to anyone, really. I just don't know whether a lot of it has to do with, I would think, emotions or... I don't really know. I don't know why any group of people are attracted to another person.
Yeah. Are you ever surprised at the people you attract in person? Is there a certain sort of man that tends to respond to you and has from the beginning
No.
a certain type?
Yes, all troubled.
People who think they're Bogart or perhaps all trouble?
All trouble and all troubled, yes.
Yeah.
Complicated. That no one simple has ever thought I was terrific.
That's a very interesting statement. No uncomplicated, friendly, no trouble person ever...
Friendly fella.
Yeah.
Has ever thought I was wonderful, no.
You don't feel that the best part of your life is over, do you?
I sure as hell don't, otherwise I'd cut my throat.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope not.
It seems to me...
I say that.
I know, but it seems to me that you might, in a way, because...
Why?
Well, we covered this pretty much last night, but you talked with such ecstasy about the happiest time of your life, which was when you married Bogart and so on, and had your family and so on, that it's almost as if you...
I talk, you mean I wrote of such ecstasy?
Yeah, in the talk in the book. You imply that nothing could ever follow this, in a way.
No, I
and
do
yet
not say
you are
that.
optimistic that it will.
No, I sincerely, absolutely do not accept that.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to clear that up.
No, I mean, if I thought that I had everything I was going to have at the age of 20 and that it was all, I mean, disaster after that, or just kind of treading water, waiting for my maker to come and get me, I mean, no,
You
not
make
at
it
all.
sound so casual.
Oh, wonderful, yes. No, I certainly don't. I have a lot more to do, I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Get ready, stand back.
Okay.
There's a lot more coming from this kid. Thank you.
I believe you. I believe you. Do you get a bigger kick standing on stage, say, getting the applause in the musical of the same name than you ever got in the studios?
Well, I think there's nothing as rewarding as being on stage for an actor, because it is, I mean, one gets a chance to play. It's not the applause, it's instant exchange with an audience. It's instant reaction, and it's also getting a chance to develop a character, to play something from the beginning to the middle through to the end.
Okay, and so you can't really compare them then, I guess, can you?
No, it's a totally different medium, but
Yeah.
I think it is an actor's medium, whereas film, I think, is a director's medium.
How would Tracy have been on the stage if he had...
Well, he started on the stage.
Yeah, but I
never
mean...
saw him on the stage.
He did, but after he became a film star, people always said if he'd only do a play. Would you happen to know if he refused to...
I don't know. Well, he was in a play. He was in a play of Robert Sherwood's that I never saw and never read, but I don't think it was one of Sherwood's better plays. And for some reason it didn't quite work out, but I mean, Spencer Tracy was a wonderful, marvelous actor, and I can't imagine his being anything less than wonderful and marvelous on the stage or on the screen.
There's a dinner, you report in the book, where Bogart decided that Tracy was the best screen actor in his view.
Oh, well, well, Bogey always felt that Spence was the best actor in pictures, and that Jimmy Cagney was the best personality that ever, and he did not include himself, obviously, in any of that. But
yeah, you even imply that he thought that they were, that he was kind of lucky to be there at the same table with them, and you certainly think of them as giants on an equal level.
Yeah, I just enjoyed them, appreciated them.
Yeah. What kind of people can't you stand from your experience in Hollywood? What's the sort that you don't ever want to see again?
You see, Hollywood, I don't want to deal with, I mean, I have not lived in that part of the world since 1959.
It's not the same world then now, is it really?
It is certainly not the same world.
No.
I am not a product of Hollywood, and I have not done my best work in Hollywood, I don't think. So I feel, I mean, because of the early film career, really, I mean, I've been in some films lately. I mean, not lately, but in the last couple of years that I have, one in particular I like very much, The Orient Express. But, and I'm going to be in one, as you know, with Robert Altman,
Right.
which I'm looking forward to with great anticipation. I just don't feel that I am, that is my life, that Hollywood is my life. I feel that I'm just anything, every woman. I mean, that I am part of the theater more, of kind of an international. I mean, my approach to work is more international than it is. I can't
local.
focus on just that one area, because that one area, there are no studios anymore. That doesn't exist as studio heads developing actors. They don't, people don't think like that. Films are made as they are made, and...
Did Howard Hawks ever forgive you for what he must have seen as a betrayal? He's obviously, from the book, saw you as his personal property, which he wasn't in the most...
Oh, I think he did forgive me, sure, finally. Yeah, oh, finally, yes. I mean, finally, he saw me with great affection, and I saw him. I was very, very fond of him. But we just had went through a rather trying period, shall we say, while I was growing up and getting involved in my own way with my own life that had nothing to do with him.
There's a rumor, a piece by James Agee years ago about you. He talked about what a gruesome thing it was that Hawks made you go out in the back lot of the studio and yell until, in a way that damaged your larynx somewhat, but gave you that distinctive voice.
I didn't do that.
That's not true, huh?
I didn't go out on the back lot of the studio ever and yell, and I didn't damage my voice ever.
So there's nothing to that. They did try
No.
to change your teeth and your...
I read aloud. I did read. I read The Robe aloud, sitting in a car on Mulholland Drive, so that I wouldn't disturb the neighbors. But I don't think you can acquire a voice. I mean, you have it or you don't have it. Howard's main interest was that in dramatic scenes or emotional scenes, when, you know, whenever you get excited, your voice does tend to go up an octave. He wanted mine to stay low. Yeah. And that was the purpose of my reading aloud, was to keep it low, no matter what happened. He hated screamers, you know. Yeah. That screeching voice, but I was never a screamer. That
wonderful Key Largo register of yours was not done by damaging the voice. That myth has grown up around you. When shouldn't one kick a columnist in the fanny?
When should one? I think whenever they write something too personal.
What was the last time you did it?
I don't think I ever did. I ever kick one? Oh, Hedda Hopper. Oh, I kicked Hedda Hopper once.
Oh, you forgot already?
But that's so long ago. I've had a whole life since then. I've had 5 lives since then. God, I can't think back that far.
Yeah, but that's one of the best things you ever did.
Well, yes, I kicked her, and she said, go ahead and kick me, because she tried to, she had told William Wellman, who was directing a film for John Wayne, and John Wayne, that they should not hire me, that I would be more trouble than anyone they could possibly ever dream of, and they paid no attention to her and hired me nonetheless, and were not sorry, and...
So it was a friendly kick.
I was not totally charmed with that. So you try to do somebody out of a job, that's not too amusing, you know.
No.
Because we were on the opposite sides of the political fence.
That's true. There's no way you could do her out of a job, was there? So it was quite fair.
Well, no, anyone that has a column, you see. I mean, first of all, you write what you want to write in your column, and then, I mean, if you object to what somebody writes about you, then they say Dick Cavett denies what I said, but they've already said it, so it's too late. Yes. Denials are always very weak anyway.
And if you're out of town, they say unavailable for comment, which sounds sinister. Was it a scary moment in any sense when you did applause, and that's the Margot Channing role from All About Eve? Did you dread that some night Bette Davis, the original creator of the role, will be sitting out front, and I hope they don't tell me when it is?
Oh, well, they knew not to tell me, yes.
Yeah, that's one of your rules.
Oh, yes. Terrified, absolutely, and apprehensive, and, I mean, as Betty Davis was my heroine from the time I was in my early teens, I was very apprehensive about her coming to see the show, and she did come to see it, and I wrote about that as well. And so it was, yes, I was glad that I didn't know. No, I must never know when anyone's out front because that makes me a nervous wreck.
One of the great arts of our business is to be able to compliment someone whose performance you've seen. And she said something to you, something like, "You know I mean it when I say you're the only one who could have done this," or something. You know?
Odd, yes,
It's hard to do that.
very, very hard to do it.
Well,
But I think you are wonderful, Dick.
do you? Because it isn't clear that you do.
Yes, I really do. No, I really do think you are wonderful. I don't think you reveal as much of yourself as I would like you to reveal.
What do you want to see, kid?
Just a minute.
I was trying to talk like you, but it didn't work.
No, I want you to be the way you are.
Okay.
Just
I think people
don't be nervous. Don't. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay.
People will know you, finally, I think, from the book, and I'm glad about that. And to borrow something you said about Hepburn, every 10 minutes I spend with you is a plus in my life. And even when you taunt me about my vocabulary, it makes me feel lugubrious. But
what you just said was said without conviction.
on the basis, yes, it was.
Yes.
But I'll be convicted later by you. And this has been wonderful. Thank you for being here. We're completely out of time.
You don't love me as much as you love Cheever.
I'll be the judge of that. Say goodnight nicely.
Good night, Nancy.
Funding for the Dick Cavett Show